Alright, what's up boys and girls, it's Wooly here, and today we've got another Fire DPS video. I wasn't trying to make a new Fire DPS loadout, but quick backstory and then we'll jump straight into it. I've been playing on the Xbox. It's an old character from 2016. I just play over there for fun, a little downtime. One thing became very apparent. I didn't have any artifacts. I had to go get all that stuff. I had low skill points on that character. Again, 2016, so I had like 140 something skill points, right? So, what I came to realize is that when you have max artifacts or very high artifacts and you have a lot of skill points, when we drop these videos, they can be very power hungry. And, allies, stuff like that, consumables will help, but we've got to find ways to make these strong loadouts useful at lower levels. So if you have low artifacts or if you have low skill points and you struggle with maintaining power, this is going to help you out, okay? So there's one little tweak that we made here to the overall loadout, and this will apply to any power, any loadout across the board. If you're running might and you struggle with power, we're going to do one little trick, and that trick is very simple. What is it? Instead of doing your weapon tap, we're going to do a full round of brawling. Throw that into your loadout and your rotation. So always start with that and then I'll show you how to work it, and I'll show you how I play it on the Xbox. Hey, look, it's Gladiator Wolf. I run into this guy a lot in OFG. Strong DPS. Anyways, if you catch this guy, I'm giving you a shout out. But let's jump back into it. So, the loadout is pretty much the same overall, except we're going to be running left to right here. So, you'll notice that I dropped heat vision. We've got spontaneous combustion, absorb heat, wildfire, snuff out, which is my main loadout. And then overheat is one that we threw in place instead of robot sidekick, because we do overall get more damage with overheat going, even though it is an extra power to throw. And there is a attack mod for that. Now I'm still running speed drain because I'm just spamming. I have Gemini. It also helps to keep my power up. But guys, before I made the change to this loadout, like even with 490 skill points, I was struggling to keep my power bar filled. I would do 2 or 3 rotations and it would pop off, and that's why I've been carrying the Bottled City Soda. So yeah, that's the loadout. But the way that I run it now, we don't struggle at all, and it's very simple. It's just throwing brawling in. So I'm going to show you, and this is a very strong loadout. Don't get it twisted. This is not a substitute where you're going to lose damage compared to my last Fire DPS, and if you've played with that loadout at all, you know how strong that it can be. We're still going to maintain heavy single target damage, but we're getting a little bit of extra AoE in there, and overall it's performing very, very well. I've had no issues with it with low skill points, low artifacts. The only difference is with lower skill points, you may need to throw in a second round of brawling. So how we're going to start, I'm going to show you how we'll start. First we'll go with overheat, then we'll do our brawling, and we'll clip our brawling right into spontaneous combustion, and then we go to absorb heat, then we go wildfire, and then we go snuff out. And that is the rotation, and then we rinse and repeat, like so. So, let me stop there for a second. So that's how it runs. I'll give you a full demonstration of that. We'll look at the numbers. Keep in mind, this is mostly going to be single target numbers. With a little bit of AoE. So you can expect it to fluctuate into the 900,000s to the 1.1. Okay, so, which, that's what you want to see from a single target loadout. you want to see anywhere from the 7 to 900,000 range. A strong prec will get at least 1 mil on the dot, if not higher. So keep that in mind. Now, for those of you with low skill points, I'm going to do a full run. I'm sorry, my throat's bothering me today, but I'm going to do a full run on how you're going to perform this loadout and the rotation. So we're going to do a full run through of the rotation right now for low skill points, low artifacts. So we're going to start with overheat, and really quickly before I jump into that, the reason I put spontaneous combustion here, and I'll show you why I dropped heat vision a little bit later, but we start with spontaneous combustion because when you blast your target and nearby enemies, additional attacks against your target may cause it to explode, damaging nearby enemies. So we're going to hit spontaneous combustion first, and then we're going to go into absorb heat. So while absorb heat is continuing to clap them cheeks, we hopefully get a little bit of extra explosion. So it kind of acts as a substitute for heat vision with the solar amplifier in this manner. So I'm getting better numbers without the solar amplifier is what I'm trying to say here, but this is a good substitute to reenact the way that heat vision and solar amplifier would. So let's go ahead and take a look. And when you see all those numbers flying, it's very satisfying. Alright, so you're always going to hit overheat when it comes up. So if you have low skill points, you're going to start with brawling, go to spontaneous combustion, go to absorb heat, and then you're going to hit another round of brawling, into wildfire, into snuff out. As soon as overheat comes up, pop it. So throwing 2 rounds of brawling makes a big difference. It keeps your damage up and it keeps your power bar filled. And again, I've got the effects turned all the way down. And you'll notice that you can see those extra explosions going off from spontaneous combustion. And we're going to cover tactical mods, we're going to cover allies, artifacts, all of that. So just stick around. Alright, and there you go. So that's pretty much it. The loadout, the rotation for low skill points, that is it. You're going to start with overheat, brawling weapon mastery, spontaneous combustion, absorb heat, weapon mastery, wildfire, snuff out, and then you would rinse and repeat. Alright. As for if you don't have if you have high skill points and maxed out artifacts, you only need to do the brawling once, although doing it a second time still adds a lot of damage, because I'm going to show you how we spec. Now if you have low skill points, still going to be the same, super powered, critical attack chance, critical attack damage. Always fill out your criticals before anything else. Okay, I don't care if you only have 61 skill points, you fill out your criticals before anything else. After that, you'll go into might and power, and you'll try to max that out. Now, if you have overflow, in this case, we're not going to be running it in health. We are going to actually be running it into precision because we're implementing weapon mastery. And I'm telling you guys, this is a really good addition to any loadout. It's just more of a benefit as opposed to just doing the weapon tap, because here we do a full round. and especially if you're spec'd into Prec, because you have additional skill points, you're just going to do that much more damage. So give it a shot. Try throwing one round of Brawling Weapon Mastery in there. And it doesn't have to be Brawling, you know, whatever weapon you guys are using, but preferably Brawling, because it has such a strong AoE hit, and we immediately clip out of it with Spontaneous Combustion. So let's take a look at how we run it just normally. So still very, very strong, guys. The last DPS that we did with solar and heat vision, that thing would get up to 1 mil 700, and sometimes a little bit more. But the difference is we're still rolling heavy on the single target, right? Don't be dissuaded by the numbers. Numbers don't mean too much. It gives you a general idea. What you want is how it's going to perform in content overall. And that's the main thing about these DPS builds that you see. I will never trust anybody who just goes onto the test server, throws on some artifacts, starts testing out a power for an hour or two, and calls it a day and says, here's your loadout. There's a lot more to it than that. You have to consider all the variables when you're actually in content, how often ads are going to lunge you, interrupt you, knock you over, block break you, stun you, you know, rolling out of AoEs. There is a lot of things to account for when you start running builds and trying to teach people how to use builds. So you need to actually take it into content. Now, anytime I give you guys a DPS video, I invest into it. I invest time, I invest materials, I invest in the artifacts, and I run it in raids, a lot of raids, duos, alerts. Want to make sure that it is going to perform just as well as we see at the sparring target. So this is what I'm running on the Xbox. This is what I'm running right now with 180 skill points and 99 artifacts, and I'm killing it with this loadout. So this is it, guys. Again, if you've got low skill points, just make sure you start with Brawling Weapon Mastery, Spontaneous Combustion, Absorb Heat, and then we're going to go right back into one more round of Brawling and then Snuff Out. Now, alternatively, you're still going to do the same thing. The only difference is depending on how much power you drain out, because Absorb Heat gives you a couple of seconds while it pops off to get some power back, but Wildfire does take a lot of power. So if you have low skill points, this might take a whole quarter of your bar. So if that's the case, you would want to do the first 3 and then do your second round of Brawling Weapon Mastery. So right before Snuff Out. So you will need to go and spec. Again, with low skill points, it's fine. As long as you have at least 140, you should be fine. Because we need to account for speccing into Brawling and Martial Arts. So we have to fill this out. Alright. So, once you've filled all that out, again, make sure you get your super speed. Now I'm running speed drain over Neo Venom, just so I can keep my Eye of Gemini going faster. I do have a separate build with a separate armory where if I'm in a group and we've got a strong EOG healer or tank in there, I will just go ahead and swap out Speed Drain for Neo Venom, or I will put Neo Venom and Speed Drain on and just double up on that EOG goodness, right? But normally I just run Eye of Gemini. I'm sorry, not Eye of Gemini. I run Speed Drain with Eye of Gemini. So I'm all over the place this morning. I'm a hot mess, y'all. But why do we run Speed Drain? So basically, while you're standing in your Eye of Gemini, you're going to get a buff to your damage overall, but you also get power back. So it keeps your power flowing. So if you struggle with power, that is going to help. But this also does a damage over time. So let me show you. Like the dots hit very nice. You know, it is what it is. I think Speed Drain is a great supercharge because it only costs 25%. But it keeps your Eye of Gemini flowing, it keeps your power flowing, it keeps your damage at a higher level than it normally would be while you're waiting. Right? So, that's pretty much it. Now, let's take a look at the tac mods. So, of course, we got the blast adapter. I am running supercharged Speed Drain here, escalating might in the neck. I keep Stoke Flames here. Again, I tank, but you can also sub out Overheat for Stoke Flames if you are in something like a duo or doing open world missions, or you're in an alert and you don't have a healer. Absorb Heat with Stoke Flames is a very nice combination to give you a little bit of passive healing that may just keep you alive in those tough situations. By no means is it a substitute for an actual healer, but it does help. I'm actually running the supercharge ability in the chest socket. Now keep in mind, if you are running Scrap of the Soul Cloak, once you get that thing maxed out, it's not going to be of any benefit to you to use this chest mod because they don't overlay. So if that's the case, you would swap it out for one of the damage mods. Now, Overheat, we do get a little bit of extra healing, very passive, or sorry, passive healing here when we use it in the legs tac mod. So we finally got some use out of this. I feel like we never get anything out of the legs. Tumbling Mastery in the feet, and again, max damage in the hands. And I always run a Compound Omega and a Nitro Soda. And if I don't have a Compound Omega, I run a Ultimate. So just a 1% buff across the board. Omega is a 5% buff to you and the group. This is just to yourself, but Omega and Ultimate do stack with Nitro, but Omega and Ultimate do not stack with each other. So you got to pick and choose which one you're going to run. Right? Save your Omegas for the raids. Use these for your duos and alerts. Unless you're just try hard like me, then you're going to run Omegas almost all the time. I just do these on dailies and the duos now. So, moving on to our allies here. I do plan to change her out eventually. But for now, I use her for my passive, because upon a breakout, bonus might increases depending on number of nearby group members. So, just a little buff to the might. But I'm going to swap that out for something later on. I'm just not sure what yet. Crypto is our combat ally here on Batman Who Laughs. We are going to be running the finisher. After using a finisher on an enemy below 25% health, the next finisher releases defense lowering toxins on nearby enemies for 10 seconds. Does not actually have to be 25%. I've seen it go off plenty of times when they're like at 75 or 50%. So it kicks in. It helps to put in some extra damage. So it's not always at 25%. It does go before that sometimes. And that's all that red stuff you see. popping off here. Let's see if we can get it to go. Probably go off a lot more if I had more allies stuff invested into it. But we got what we got right now. There you go. Voila. Alright guys, one last thing. The artifacts, gonna run the Eye of Gemini, transformation card, strategist card. We're just doing the good old trio. Yeah, I've had all of these at 200, and I kept swapping them out and changing, and now I'm putting them back on for 200. But they flow better with this loadout specifically. And I'm doing the same thing with gadgets as well. So I'll drop my gadgets might DPS sometime in the future. I'm still working on it, but I think it's where it needs to be right now. But anyways guys, that's it. I wasn't even gonna make this video today, but I had a little extra time. I figured I'd just go ahead and do it. So before we carry on too much, I think we've pretty much covered everything, right? We've covered skill points, tech mods, artifacts, the actual loadout, the rotation. Yeah, that's pretty much it. One last thing, like I said, you can swap out overheat for stoke flames, and you can clip spontaneous combustion, or really anything except absorb heat with stoke flames. So, and it adds an extra dot while it adds some healing. I like it. It's a very fun tower to use. Yeah. Alright guys, I'll catch you next time. Fully out. Stay frosty.
Cosmic tuning towers. Which one will dismantle? We will dismantle them all, here and across the multiverse. Dismantle will not make Athena, grant me strength. Step aside, or our swing to cut down Darkseid will cleave through you as well.
Ha! Darkseid! Perpetua replaced Darkseid with our new master, Darkfather, and granted him more loyal children than you.
A few more dogs to cut down, but we'll start with you.
Lashina! Give them a taste of fear!
Taste my whips. You are asking for it. You will bleed for this.
My turn!
not have done.
Dark Father and his children will not give up New Apocalypse so easily.
Dark side or dark father, you will defeat him and his miserable strays.
Save yourselves. The kryptonite.
His suffering powers Perpetua, and when his mind finally breaks, he will be under my complete control. The perfect child.
From what I understand of Superman, he'd never serve the likes of you.
Oh, but he will. And he is not the only child Perpetua granted me. Behold, Brimstone, resurrected. Rise and serve Darkfather. Make me proud. jealous, estranged child. Now none will be spared my wrath.
I will relish this fight, Dark Father.
The Omega Beam. Burn in my Omega. Witness the power of my Omega. Witness the power of my Omega. Beg forgiveness from Dark. I remain equal. Burn in my Omega. Beg forgiveness from Dark.
Too easy. What a disappointment. You are free, Superman.